So in this week's episode, we are talking about the size of my wood. Stay tuned. Well, I don't know where your minds are at, but when I'm talking wood, I'm talking oak, hickory, maple. I know where your mind was going. You don't have to hide it. So as many of you know, I've made the switch over to a stick burner. I've got my Oklahoma Joe's Highland, and I've got the Oklahoma Joe's Firecraft. Both great grills. I absolutely love them. Easy to run, easy to manage. You know, they've been phenomenal to me. But the learning curve was a lot, going from pellet smoker and, you know, using charcoal in my Weber and stuff like that to an actual stick burner. So we're going to go through some of the different variations and stuff like that that I've gone through. You know, different burns, different techniques, stuff that I've learned along the way. So I buy my oak about half a cord to 3/4 of a cord at a time. You know, it's a truck bed load. I go and pick it up myself. They load me up. So that's roughly where I'm sitting at. Now, when I pick it up, I mean, you know, it's a huge chunk. I don't have a huge smoker. I can't burn this. This does not work in my little grill. I mean, you know, if you got a huge, you know, 500-gallon smoker, absolutely. Toss this in, let it burn. You're running, you know, perfectly fine. But for us guys that don't have those big smokers, even though we want one, don't tell me you don't want one, because I know you do. I do. Anyways, sidetracked. This doesn't work. So what I do is I cut this down. You know, I split it, and then I will, depending on which grill I'm using, chop it in half. So from here, I've got some splits behind me. We bring her down quite a bit, you know. I can almost wrap my hands around it. Some of these are, you know, 2-inch, 3-inch, anywhere is in there. All perfectly good pieces. Now, for the Firecraft, this is it. This is what I burn right here. You know, I will get a charcoal bed, a chimney going, lay it out, pop a couple of these on the Firecraft, and away we go. We got a good fire going. But in that Highland, the firebox is too small for this. Believe me, I've tried. I tried burning pieces this big, and it didn't work. So what I found was, once you get that 2 to 3, even 3.5, 4-inch girth, what you do is you cut them down. So you get these. Now this is manageable in that firebox. It's got some size to it around, but it's short enough that you're not going to be overfilling your firebox. Your fire is not going to go blazing hot, and you're not going to get temperature spikes. I find this very easy to control. I can run my fire anywhere from 250 to 350 without any hassle. Just playing with the chimney, the dampener. You know, I can run a fire at anywhere in that range, no problem. I always start with a bed of charcoal, and then I start stacking these. So when I start off with my firebox, I light up a chimney full of charcoal and get that blazing hot, lay that down as a bed. Basically what it's doing is it's getting the base of your fire going so that it's not all based on just the wood that you're putting in. Makes the fire that much faster to get going and that much easier to manage. Once that is going, what I do is I will take 2 larger pieces, about 3-inch girth, and I will lay them in the charcoal bed like so. So this allows air to come through here, up into the cooking chamber, and out the chimney. As we know, this is all about ventilation. So with that, what happens is air moves freely through those 2 pieces. They light up very quickly with the charcoal bed and start to burn. Now I'll always put the two bigger pieces on the bottom because they will burn for a longer period of time and they can withstand a little more heat. Next up, I take two pieces that are about a 2-inch girth and I will lay them across. Like so. So what you want to do is you want to build a house just like this every time you put wood in. What happens is the air travels through underneath, gets your charcoal bed blazing hot, starts burning the two bigger pieces, and the flame comes up and catches the two smaller pieces. With a chimney wide open and your door, I actually don't even use the air dampener on the door. I just keep my door open a little bit. You know, all based on that, if I leave my door open a couple inches and chimney wide open, I can keep this flame going with this exact setup right here for about 30 to 40 minutes with those 4 pieces. And what I'll do is I will have 4 pieces, or the 4 next pieces, inside the cooking chamber right up against the firebox. That way they're coming up to heat and ready to burn as soon as I put them in. So as you can see from this angle, the air passes through the doorway here, through the 2 larger pieces of wood, keeping your charcoal bed hot and glowing. Burns these 2 pieces a lot quicker, but because they are denser pieces, they will last just as long as the 2 smaller pieces, which the top flame will get. So with the house built, I will adjust my door depending on airflow, wind, and everything. Usually I will leave it open about 4 finger widths. Depending on how it's burning, I'll go a little more. Try not to have your door wide open because then heat escapes this way instead of going through. So I always try and have it right around there. Now with that, the air goes through the firebox into the smoker. And what I do here is I actually have a water pan below the cooking grates, right up against the firebox, just to try and keep some humidity in the smoker. It's a neat little trick that I picked up. Works great. Never had any issues with it. I mean, you can use apple juice or Gatorade or whatever you'd like. I've done a few different things, but generally just straight water. I will have 4 pieces ready to go right here, and then the rest of the grate is all for cooking. So the smoke travels here, comes up the chimney, and I've got that wide open. So I know a lot of guys run their smokers differently, and I mean, honestly, run the smoker however you're comfortable with it. You know, it's your fire, it's your food. Whatever you're comfortable with is how you should be cooking. Play with a few different methods. Maybe you don't like the charcoal bed. Maybe you want bigger pieces of wood. You know, all depending on where you're cooking, what you're cooking on. It's always different. I'm just giving you what I do personally. I mean, you know, there's guys that will run a full chimney. Some of these, you know, wood chips work great. I've used them. I still use them here and there. Also, you know, you can use these pre-cut wood chunks from all kinds of different companies. I've got Furtado Farms hickory here, which I will usually use on my Weber, but I have used them in my Oklahoma Joes. They work great, you know, about the same girth, quite a bit shorter as you'll notice. You know, you're probably only a few inches long here instead of that 6 to 7 mark that you want. But these work very well as well. I mean, I use these quite often. I've burned through quite a few bags. They've been great. You know, another great company, another great Canadian company. But, you know, as for fire management, play with it. That's all I can say. Play with your wood. You see what I did there? You know, play with charcoal, play with the wood, check the sizes, you know, whatever works best for you, that's how you should run your fire. Don't let anybody tell you that there's a specific way, because there isn't. Some days I don't build my fires the same, all based on wind, based on what I'm cooking, how I'm cooking. You know, it always changes, but generally What I just ran you through is the way that I cook. That's more often than not. You know, I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Do you do anything differently? If so, what? Because, you know, I'm still learning too. There's always something to learn. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Also, if you guys want, here's a little shot of the wood inside the cooking chamber drying out, coming up to temp. You can see it right here. You know, this is more or less the way that I cook, and it seems to work for me. I've never had any issues with it since I started this. You know, when I was first learning, I tried a few different things, had a hard time. Once I got into this, it kind of worked out well for me, so that's just what I've been sticking to. But, you know, let me know what you think. Let me know what you do. Till next time.